This is a production of Bag of Mad Bastards, LLC. This is not affiliated with or endorsed by Marvel Comics or their parent company. That's okay, we don't need our parents' approval anyway. From the temperature-controlled, sealed vault of the Bomb Shelter Studios, it's Marvelous Bastards.
Well, hello. This is issue, 28? It's 28.
28!
I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
No Allie tonight.
No.
That's all right. We'll muddle through. We'll miss her, though.
Yes.
So, wow. We have a lot to cover.
Yes, we do.
Even without Allie here. So, shall we open up with what we pulled this week?
Sure.
All right. What'd you get, Josh?
I got all new X-Men number 18, Inhumans vs. X-Men tie-in.
All right.
Deadpool in the Works for the Money number 8, Inhumans vs. X-Men tie-in.
Of course.
Star Wars Darth Maul number 1.
Ooh.
I'm so excited. Monsters Unleashed number 2, because you got me excited about that.
Okay.
And the all-new X-Men number 1.mu, because that's the number issue.
Yeah.
Monster Unleashed one-shot tie-in, guest starring Gambit.
All right.
And Star Wars 28.
All right.
And Allie got Batman.
All right. So we're not missing a gap on her stuff. I don't think. She can catch up. She can catch up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we talk about some, issues that we picked up last week and had a chance to read, we actually have a couple of pieces of reader mail.
Yes.
I love calling it reader mail.
Reader mail.
Even though people don't read us,
Reader mail.
I like it.
It just goes with the flow of what we are.
It does. And first of all, the first one comes from Angela, who has been on the show.
Yep.
A good friend of the show, and she wanted us to give a shout out to where she buys her books because, it's a local business, smaller business. They need a little bit of help around this time of year after the holidays. It's kind of a dead time, and so she picks up her trade paperbacks at Booked on 25th Street here in lovely downtown Ogden, Utah. If you're in the area, you need some trade paperbacks. Maybe you want to go there, support some local businesses. She's been very kind to Angela based on the glowing review that she sent us and has become friends with the owner based on this. And it's not just comic books. It's also, books, those ones without pictures.
What?
I know. I read them too.
Novellas?
Novels?
Novels?
All right. So please show some love if you're in the area, and especially if you need to get a trade paperback.
Yeah.
Tell them Angela sent you.
All right.
All right. So the second one is more focused on the show itself and things we've talked about. This comes from our great friend Ashley. Hi, Ash.
Hi.
And, I'm just going to read it. We'll talk about it as it goes, because as I read this, I thought, we need to talk about this.
Okay. She
says, I'm now caught up. I'm all caught up now.
Yay.
Why don't I make her sound like she's mistyping when it's my mouth? Yay. This won't be too long right now, but I will follow up later today with some more view. It wound up being kind of long. She didn't need to follow up. In fact, I think she even mentions it in here that she didn't need to. But she's going to give an overview on some of the tie-ins for Civil War II. If you want to cover some more Secret Wars, I misread that. Oh, no, actually it is. It's going to be tie-ins for Civil War II, so great. Maybe some of the stuff that I missed. I'm trying to catch up as it hits Marvel Unlimited. Yeah. So we will be talking about it. But if you want to cover some more Secret Wars 2015 tie-ins, I have some that I read that I really enjoyed. If for whatever reason they aren't on Unlimited, and they are, and you want to read them, I can let you view them on my account if you wish. That's generous. But we have the Unlimited, and they're there. Secret Wars 2015 was my first comic book event I took part in, and I left with mixed feelings. Wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was remarkably good. But it wasn't the greatest.
We all know how I felt about it.
Yeah. I was left a bit disappointed when the tie-in event didn't show up in the main Secret Wars story, or they just ended. It seemed that the writers of the tie-ins and the main story were on different deadlines and a bit unorganized as far as continuity of the overall event. I would have thought with how well tied together the MCU is, the comics would get the same treatment. And she says, I would love to hear your thoughts. There's more, but let's stop there for a moment. You're right. There should have been more continuity, but essentially the new Secret Wars 2015, that was set up to have an excuse to end all their books and start from scratch. It really was. So what they did with all these teams, all these tie-in different side stories, these different series, they were leftover artists and writers from books that were in existence before Secret Wars. So a different team that was working on a completely different book, they were told, okay, everything's ending. You have until this issue to wrap up your story. And they may have been under contract to do 4 or 5 more books, or had to put them to work to do something while Secret Wars was going on and they were rebooting everything. So they were taking entire teams that were working on existing books. When those books ended, they put them to work on a limited series. And really their only guidepost was occasionally they'd say, tie this in, and here's what's going on. I'm trying to remember the author of this main Secret Wars, but he's going to need you to do this, and here's his world, and here's his storyline. Don't mess with that. Other than that, do anything you want, because there's all these different sectors of Battle World, and have fun with it. So some of them are funny, some of them are outrageous. None of them are in continuity. Occasionally you'll get something, and she mentions this one, you'll get something like Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies.
Yeah.
And that limited series during Secret Wars actually ties in fairly strongly, because during the main books, the zombies show up, and it's a direct result of what happened in the Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies tie-in books.
Okay.
So some things did happen because of that, but largely the little battle worlds were left alone, and their teams that were left over from books that had been canceled, which they all had been canceled. Either you were working on the main books, the main Secret War, storyline, or you were currently out of work, so they put you to work on a tie-in, and really no rules. And so you saw some weird things. We'll talk about Armor Wars, the Secret Wars tie-in book at some point in time, but that really a Thor shows up, and it's James Rhodes. It's War Machine with a hammer. And there's a Tony Stark in it. But really, other than that, it has nothing to do with anything.
All right.
It's in its own... You are aware that it's in its little cloistered community, its own little section of Battle World.
Yeah.
But this was something for them to do, and maybe sell some books while Secret Wars was going on, and they had just dismantled all other books that were in existence. So that's why it seems a little scattershot. I understand that a lot of these teams that were working on these tie-ins didn't even know they had a tie-in until they had all right, your first issue drops in 1 month, and this is what you're working on. So, they really had to scramble. So not the best way. Some of the tie-ins are wonderful. Renew Your Vows, Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows is awesome. But a lot of them just didn't work, didn't land properly. All right. Here are some of the tie-ins, going back to the email, that I read that could be worth checking out for Secret Wars. I don't know if you want to cover them on the show, per se, but I figure some of these are worth reading regardless. And I intend to read them all, by the way. But first one she lists is Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies.
Yep.
There was some really interesting stuff happening because of the brain wiping and the origin of Ultron via Hank Pym. It also featured some stuff that tied into the main story. Agreed. It was one of my favorites of the tie-ins. The next one she lists, I want to read.
Yes,
I'm going to read. Deadpool's Secret Wars. This was extremely interesting as it wasn't a typical shoot-'em-up Deadpool book. We got a glimpse into the man behind that mask. Also, as part of that, if I understand, it was actually a retelling of the original 1980s Secret War.
Oh.
Only Deadpool was there and nobody ever saw him. That's the way I understand it. So I want to read that one. This next one's going to thrill Josh.
Yes, I can't
and
wait.
Ellie.
I want to get a hold of these.
All right. Giant size Little Marvel Avengers versus X-Men. One of my favorites from the event. It's written and drawn by Scotty Young. It doesn't have any direct ties to the main story, but I didn't care because it was all the short, adorable Scotty Young drawn characters in warring tree houses.
Yep.
All right, you go
Awesome.
for it. All right. Man, these mics can hear me breathe. That's kind of scary. Normally, I just back up so I can breathe. But even back here, it can hear me breathe. Groot, even though it wasn't tied in the Secret War storyline, it came out around the same time. This was my favorite book of 2015. This is very much like the Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Okay.
which, they did a limited run of that happened. As everything was rebooted, it was a series they put out, and it was very short, and it led to other books.
Okay.
And I think that was them reorganizing Marvel, and they said, okay, we've got these extra people and some extra books that we can put out on a limited scale before we tie everything back up and beef up and ramp up teams for all the new books. So, yeah, it's kind of in between Secret Wars and the relaunch.
Yep.
And that's where Groot came from. And Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D. What are some of the other ones that were there? Yeah, there were a few. But Groot and Rocket are on an intergalactic space trip and get separated. Kessinger's art and Loveness's writing made every panel enjoyable. Wow, she's good at this. I highly recommend this one. I liked it way more than the follow-up Rocket and Groot stuff recently. She's also got The Runaways. This one was one of the darker stories I read during the event. It's about the runaway kids. Yes, that means Jubilee. Allie just squealed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Matt can give more background on the Runaways. Not a whole lot. I read a couple of issues of that, and I'm trying to remember it. But we'll get back to it. We'll cover it.
All right.
And they're attending a prestigious school in Battleworld, but things aren't quite what they appeared. It features Reed/Doom's youngest daughter, Valeria, as the headmistress, and she is scary. Yes, very scary. And then she finishes with Star-Lord, Kitty Pryde. It's only 3 issues, but Starcat forever. Hashtag Starcat forever. It's a fun read, and Kitty has Wolverine-like claws because why not? I would have liked to have seen that relationship develop more.
Yeah.
But I didn't read the books. I saw glimpses. And it just seemed like that was an interesting choice. Of course, Kitty Pryde died a while back, and I didn't even know about it. And then she came back. And, well, I knew she died. I didn't know she'd come back. So, what the hell?
Who knows?
So, thank you for the feedback, Ash, and the insight. And yeah, we can cover some of that. We're going to have time. We're going to hit a doldrum in comic books here pretty soon. Usually happens around late March, early April.
Oh.
And then you get Comic Book Day, and they launch a whole bunch of new events. So it's going to slow down.
Oh, goody.
So we'll have to go back and hit some event topics. But right now, we're crammed full of stuff to talk about.
I know, right? What did you pick up today? You didn't say.
Oh, I didn't.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
No,
well, I got
figuring-
Monsters Unleashed number 2. I'll be covering that next week. I got that as well. And I got Avengers number 4.
All right.
I'm thinking more of the Kang Wars.
Okay.
All right. Well, I've got 4. You got 2.
Yep.
How do you want to do this?
Well, how much... So, you have to read these in order.
Yes.
You have to talk about them in order.
Yes.
Do we want to split them up with my books? Or would it be better to run straight in back to back with them?
Well, why don't I do this one?
Okay.
And then you do one, and then I'll do these 2, and then you do one, and we'll finish up with that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Because they do actually, the 2 that I have in the middle tie very closely together.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Infamous Iron Man number 4 first. Whee! You can hear me opening up, just for a reminder. But, largely, some of these books are going to go really fast, and I think this one will. Essentially, crack. No matter how far you get from the mic, it will
I almost
pick it
did
up.
it right here, though.
Oh,
I
would've
almost did
definitely-
it right there.
The compressors would have caught it. But at any rate, if you remember when we last left off with Infamous Iron Man, the Thing had gone to Ben Grimm. Looking
Yes.
for Doom had gone to his secret lab that, well, Ben Grimm knew about it. Couldn't have been that secret, but he ran across Doom's mom and started falling apart. He was losing his rocks. So this opens up, and it's got Maria Hill. And we're getting the indication she's in the middle of this trial. She's not literally in the middle of the trial, but, she's in the middle of getting court-martialed, so to speak.
Yes.
And
we never found out what happened.
Yeah, that was a cliffhanger in the last Steve Rogers. You will have an answer.
Yay!
Tonight. But at any rate, she's in her room on the Shield helicarrier, and I've been dealing with a lot of this stuff and blah blah blah, and she's painting her toenails, talking to her mom, and she's assuring you, I'm not going to jail or anything. I'm here to protect the Earth. And then someone beeps her room and says, Director Hill, Dr. Doom? Yeah, he's in Latveria. The thing's going after him. No, he's here. Then why aren't we on red? And then all the alarms go off.
Everybody killing somebody else.
Yeah, so now they're on red alert, and they all scramble, and everybody goes to this conference room, and he's just sitting there. And they're going, we hit him with gas, and they got him at gunpoint. And he's just sitting at this table, and they've got him at gunpoint, and they're going, we put a stasis bubble around him. He can't go anywhere. We hit him with gas, but the gas didn't seem to affect him. And she says, nothing's going to affect him. The gas isn't going to affect him. The bubble isn't holding him here. He's here because he wants something, and you can't stop him. He just appeared there. So stand down, take off the red alert. I'll talk to him. Because she notices he really doesn't care. Hey, how you doing, Maria? Came to talk to you. They sit down, they start talking, and he reminds her that he had in fact saved her recently. We covered that in one of these books.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy now, and you can call off the thing. You don't need to have him chasing me. I'm a good guy now. She says, well, you're under arrest because you're a criminal, and just because you say you're not a criminal anymore doesn't mean you're not a criminal anymore.
Yeah.
So, well, I just just wanted to clear the air and let you know that I'm a good guy now, and you're not going to arrest me. And she keeps trying to tell him, no, you're under arrest. And at any rate, during the whole thing, he says, so where is Mr. Grimm now? Why isn't he here since I'm here? And one of the people in the background lets look, he's in Latveria. And Doom says, thank you.
Oh.
And Hill shoots the person a dirty look, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. And Doom takes off, throwing on some armor.
Zoom!
Just leaves.
Bails out like a bitch. Yeah. Not really.
And then you see Hill, essentially firing the Shield agent and open their mouth. So Doom goes back to Latveria. He runs across the general. If you remember, we were talking about this in Steve Rogers, the general that had kind of taken over Latveria.
Yeah.
And there was a civil war going on, and it was pretty ugly. And Shield was propping up his dictatorship, and that went horribly awry. Doom sees that guy's men handing out guns to kids and stealing food and medical supplies, and he starts taking the guns from the kids, and the bad guy thugs try and kill him, and of course that's not going to work, and he implants a nightmare in one guy's head. He's kind of techno magic, so he puts a nightmare. Says, where is the general? I want to talk to him. And their leader of this band of men is just screaming, and he's just saying, someone tells me, or they join him in his nightmare. Next thing you know, he knows where they are.
Yeah.
As he's flying there, he's attacked by Doombots. Isn't that cute? I built these things, I programmed them, and they reprogrammed them and didn't think that, they don't really think this could stop me. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And he reprograms them on the fly. So he arrives to talk to this general, surrounded by Doombots in his armor, and says to the general, this isn't how I left this to you. And he says, well, you left. You abandoned us. And he says, yeah, and I gave you some very good ideas on how to give the country back to the people and not be a jackass, and you were a jackass. So you're going to enlist this person. You can find them there. I've already done a background search on them. They're going to help you get this country straight. Stop being a jackass. And the guy kind of argues with him.
Okay.
Doom threatens him, and the guy says, okay, I'll do it. Meanwhile, we hear boom and see magic splashes coming out of the castle, and he says, who's here? I don't know.
All right.
So Doom goes flying off, and as he flies into the castle, he sees bits of orange rock laying everywhere, and a half-dismantled Ben Grimm, and Ben's not really feeling like fighting. And he says, Hey, Vic. And he says, you need not speak. Well, she says, I know. I knew when I walked in. Hello, Mother. And that's where it ends. Next issue, Mother, May I? And it's Mom holding Doom like a baby in armor.
Alrighty.
All right. Your turn.
My turn. I'm going to talk about Extraordinary X-Men number 18.
Right.
The Inhumans versus X-Men tie-in. But this is one I read normally anyway.
Sweet. It's even better when that, instead of going out and get all the tie-ins, they actually fall into the issues you read.
Yeah.
That's always a nice bonus.
All right. So, this one...
It's like I would have bought it anyway.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, exactly. We're dealing with Logan, Forge, Cerebra, and Storm, and that's it.
All right.
That's it. That's all we got. So we go through about the first 4 pages, 4.5 pages, watching Forge build this device that he's working on currently.
He's looking all Tony Stark while he's doing it.
Yeah, I know, right? And
yes, I'm opening my
he's
book.
got a lot of monologue going on about why he does what he does, and yes, he's a mutant, and blah blah blah. And Storm comes in and is like, "Are you ready to go? Let's do this. Come on, go." And he's like, "Can we talk about this?" And she's like, "No, do it!" And starts yelling at him and stuff. And he's well. No, can I, I got to get this giant machine to this remote location. Can I use Cerebra to transport? No, I need her. And then Storm just storms off. Says, you take the jet and your babysitter, basically. And
okay.
He's like, who's my babysitter? And Logan's like, sup. AKA old man. I will qualify that one more time. This is Wolverine as
they're going to play Pin the Donkey on something with a claw.
So they're flying, and they're flying to whatever location. Forge is all quiet, and Logan's like, why are you so quiet? Just tell me. What do you want to tell me, or what do you want to ask me? Just get it over with. And so Forge was like, well, in the future...
Yeah, in the future. Is that all you ever talk about?
Did you kill me in the future when you were made to kill all the other X-Men? And he's like, I don't know. Nobody ever heard of you. And then Logan goes into this long story about a mutant that he did hear of in the Villain Uprising. And the first panel of the flashback of the Villain Uprising is Magneto, Goblin, and I don't know who that is. But Daredevil and Spidey are dead
Kang.
In the middle of the road.
I think that's Kang.
It could be.
It's awful tall, tiny, and very far away from me.
Yeah, they're far away from they're far away. If the panel you're looking at them, they're on their way. But the Spidey and Daredevil dead.
Yeah, blood all over the place. Pretty gruesome.
And you get this full page artwork.
That is a pretty cool piece, though.
It's really nice. I really like.
Looks like something out of the Road Warrior.
For the Logan that doesn't have claws in this world, I like the art that's in this one. I really like the style that they're doing it in.
Speaking of Logan, I forgot to mention, Logan, you do not want to get involved in Infamous Iron Man. As good as I think the books are, it is the same creative team and the same, I can't explain it, same artwork, same artist as International Iron Man. And I know that bothered you. If you didn't like the artwork in International Iron Man, you're not going to like the artwork in Infamous Iron Man. Although I think both books were written by Bendis. And I love Bendis, but he's either hit or miss. He either hits it out of the park or it's like, what were you thinking? And International Iron Man was kind of, what were you thinking? And Infamous Iron Man, at least the storytelling is much better. But I can't sign off on the artwork in that. It's nothing to write home about. If you hated International Iron Man for the art, you'll hate Infamous Iron Man for the art.
All right. This is drawn. The artist is Victor Ibanez and Andrea Sorrento.
All right. Tag team.
But yeah, there's this full page, and they're talking about Rhino's gang
All right.
in New Mexico. Basically, he just started taking over everything.
Okay. Rhino, he's an important character.
So they
In
heard
Spider-Man.
about this. The thing is, he's heard about this mad scientist, is what Logan calls him, in the South Dakota Badlands.
Ooh.
And Rhino decided that was easy pickings area to take over, and he's going to go up there.
All right.
And take over that area. And Rhino never had a clue what was going to hit him.
Rhino never was that smart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see in that page how much he has with him.
Yeah,
And
he's got
it's like Mad Max, man.
Yeah, it looks like something out of Thunder Road.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Rhino had grown arrogant and compliant and thought he was invulnerable, and the mad scientist showed him what's what.
Ooh.
And actually made him an example out of Rhino, and then nobody ever saw Rhino again.
Okay. Who is that?
It's
Logan?
no, it's
I was gonna say no.
no, it's Forge.
Oh, it is Forge.
But
it's just a much older Forge.
Yeah, this is all the story from the future that Logan's telling Forge in the plane ride. But they never knew his name, so he just called him a mad scientist. But it's Forge. So they get done with the story, and he's like, I never knew his name. Blah blah blah. Deal with it. Get over it. That's the story. Or no, Forge says, so the moral of the story is that I'm a total badass, huh? You just hold on to your ego. I'm landing this thing. And they land, and they're landing in a very forested area. And if you remember at the end of Inhumans versus X-Men number 2, the main storyline, ISO and Inferno go through the portal thingy dude, whatever his name was, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And they end up where Logan is, in a forested area. So
now we know.
Yes, now we know
Good knowing is half the
why
battle.
Logan is there. He's deploying this device that Forge has brought up, and it is it's going to destroy the Terrigen Cloud.
Ooh. Will they succeed?
Yes, this is the question.
But then again, will the Inhumans succeed in building something else that takes its place? Because we know they're working on that.
Yeah, I know, right? So out of nowhere, Cerebra and Storm come in, and she's like, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I love you. We hugged. Okay. They go back to fighting. And that's it. That's
all right.
Logan's like, what'd I miss? And she's like, nothing. So.
Wow. We're over halfway through this whole event looking at that checklist.
Yeah. Are we? Well, in the next... Yeah. Yep. Yeah, number 3 is my next. The Inhumans versus X-Men. Main storyline number 3 is my next, which ties in exactly where this one leaves off.
All right.
And
Well,
where the second one left off.
I've got 2 in a row that I'm going to cover.
Okay.
And they tie into each other. And you'll understand here in a moment why I did Infamous Iron Man first.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of stuff. Now, for those of you who are into the art, I will say the art is getting better in the Steve Rogers books. This is Steve Rogers Captain America number 10. And the artwork's getting better. It really reminds me a lot of some of the better issues of Heavy Metal magazine. Almost anime, but a little Western, and some really good shading. I like it.
Sweet.
All right. So when we left off, we were awaiting the fate of Maria Hill.
Yes.
They were about to announce the verdict, and cliffhanger, haha, fooled you. So that's where we left off. This book starts out New York 1940, and what you see is Steve Rogers, very similar to the cinematic Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
He is trying to get enlisted.
Okay.
And he's F4, which means rejected. I don't know if today's generation understands that. If you got an F4 designation back in the 40s, it meant you were unfit for military duty.
Okay.
You just weren't healthy enough. And, you failed. F4. You'll see it in old Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah.
But at any rate, he keeps trying and trying. And secretly, he's not trying to join the military to go fight Nazis.
Yeah.
He's actually kind of on the Nazi side, although the Nazis are a third party, in this whole thing. It's really him working for Hydra, and he's trying to get close to Erskine, the guy who develops a super soldier serum, so that he can kill him. And he's got poison. Hydra has provided him with an untraceable poison, and he's trying to get close to him. So he wants to get into the military and meet Erskine.
Okay.
And they keep rejecting him. Oh, damn, they should have known not to send him, right? So at any rate, he as he's trying this, he does some recon and figures out that Erskine is going to be, frequents this cafe once in a while.
Okay.
And so he gets a job there. And he gets a job there as a busboy. And Erskine comes in with a general. And they order some coffee. And the general recognizes Steve, going, yeah, the F4 kid. He's at my office every morning. We reject him every day. But appreciate your enthusiasm, son. And Erskine says, so do I. Get me some coffee.
Okay.
We cut to the present. And the very first word from the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier Iliad, where they were holding the trial, is guilty.
Yay!
Yes. This council finds Maria Hill guilty on all accounts. Agents, please escort her off the helicarrier at once. She is hereby officially removed from duty, and Hill does not look pleased.
Damn.
It's a great moment. So they're hauling her off, and, this court's adjourned. And, hey, Steve, can you stick around for a moment? We want to talk to you.
Oh, God.
We kind of need a new director.
Yeah.
Who would you recommend?
Okay, at least he said that. But it's still bad, Steve.
Yeah, it's still bad, Steve.
Still bad, Steve.
And Steve says, Sharon Carter.
I got a guy.
Yeah, Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter's
Agent
granddaughter. I don't know. I forget the relationship. I think it's granddaughter. And love interest for Captain America in the books now. And also the woman who everyone thought shot him while being brainwashed at the end of the original Civil War. So, yeah, there's some history there. And we cut to her, and she's convincing a congressman and applies some serious leverage to vote for the S.H.I.E.L.D. Act, where S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to get all these massive powers that make the NSA look like a troop of Boy Scouts with their telescopes trying to snoop on people.
Okay.
And essentially make S.H.I.E.L.D. the most powerful law enforcement agency, not only in the United States, but in the world, with no real oversight.
Okay.
And this congressman's kind of giving her hell, and she applies some leverage about, Steve's never done this before, but either you back this bill or Steve is going to start endorsing candidates during the next election cycle. And I guarantee it's going to tie into this bill because Steve wants this bill.
Wow.
So you know what's going to pass.
They're throwing some politics into this bad boy.
So we cut back to the helicarrier and Steve saying, yeah, she's been doing a great job helping us get what we need and being political, in Washington and handling those things. But, she's also been a field agent. She's going to be great. You really should go with Sharon Carter. And just then, anonymous S.H.I.E.L.D. agent bursts in and says, I hate to interrupt, but there's a problem. We cut to outside the courtroom on the helicarrier, and there are S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, littering the floor, and Steve takes control, and they start running down the hall with a whole bunch of them. Hill has escaped, and we see her, capturing a flying car and taking off. It's very much like Lola. It looks like a flying Jaguar, but it looks very much, like a Lola situation if you watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series. And she gets out. And where does she head? She heads for Alpha Flight Space Station. Carol Danvers' place.
Yeah.
And says, yep. And Carol says, why are you coming here? You're going to have a whole battalion of S.H.I.E.L.D. On their way up here to arrest you, and I'm not even going to fight them. Well, she probably could, but she's not going to. And Maria says, well, they can't arrest me. I'm a civilian. I was court-martialed and kicked out, but I didn't break any laws, blah, blah, blah. And she says, here's the plan for the planetary shield that I thought was going to save my bacon. Why don't you take it? Maybe if you present it somewhere, someone is going to allow you to make it. And I think it's a good thing. It's not. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Just saying. And then we cut to Steve doing the Vader and Emperor thing where he's talking to the Red Skull, and the Skull's pissed off because, what's his name? Jack. Jack Flag.
Captain Jack Sparrow?
The guy that Steve used to hang out with. Another America-based superhero. The one that at the beginning of the Steve Rogers series, he pushed out of the airplane and is in the coma. And Skull's mad because, well, Flag's still alive. And if he wakes up, they're screwed.
All right.
He's going to spill the beans that Steve's a double agent.
Yeah.
And he says, don't talk to me again until he's dead.
Okay.
So Steve comes out and he's pissed off. And Selvig was eavesdropping, which kind of pisses Steve off. And he says, you got to kill him. He's in a coma, but I know his recuperative powers. He might come back. And he hands him a syringe and he says, this is completely untraceable. Just put it in his IV bag. Just pop it in the IV bag. He'll be dead very, very quickly. So then we cut back to the 40s. And in the coffee shop where Steve is working, and he's serving them coffee. And he's about to put the poison in Erskine's coffee when someone steals one of the waitress's purses from behind the counter and goes running out. So Steve chases him down, I'll get him. And Steve comes back. Well, we don't see that yet. He chases the guy down an alley, and the guy's much bigger than him.
Mm.
So now we cut to modern day, and Steve's in the hospital, and he approaches Flag's bed, Jack Flag's bed, and he pulls out the syringe, and he says, I'm sorry. And just then, Flag's significant other comes in, another superhero, Ms. America or some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Lesser known character comes in and says, I'm so glad you came. How did you get the news so fast? And he's, what? Yeah, they say he's not going to wake up, so they're going to pull the plug on him. And Steve's slipping the syringe back in his pocket and starts comforting her.
Nothing.
And at least he went out this way, fighting alongside Captain America. He always wanted to be the next Bucky. He always wanted to be your sidekick, and at least he's going out the way he wanted to. That's got to sting a little bit, doesn't it, Steve? So then we cut to Sharon at home, Sharon Carter, after a long day blackmailing senators. And Steve comes home, and she says, I heard about Jack. I'm sorry. And they hug.
Okay.
And he says, well, did you hear anything? And she says, yes, they called me. And he says, oh, great. Congratulations, director. And she says, no, I turned it down because I think the only one that should wield the power of S.H.I.E.L.D. under this new S.H.I.E.L.D. Empowerment Act, this law that went through, I think the only one that's qualified to do it is you. And he looks stunned.
Okay.
And, through this whole thing, when we go back to the 40s, he's kind of having this thought that, you never know when you're going to be called and get the call and have to step up. Okay. You never know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we cut back to the 40s, and he comes back into the cafe, and he's been beat the fuck by this guy who stole the purse. Mm-hmm. But he says, yeah, I couldn't stop him. He got away. But I got the purse, and he hands the waitress her purse back. And Erskine says, that's the guy I want for the super serum program. And, so it kind of ties in. You never know when the opportunity's going to arise. So rather than killing Erskine, he gets into the super soldier program.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. And next, it's a big picture of Zemo with blood splashing all over and Captain America reflected in his headband.
Yep.
So that's that issue.
Alrighty. The issues have issues. That was intense.
Yeah.
Very.
I'm liking what Nick Spencer is doing. Occasionally he'll do some, some of the weird stuff that, well, in the Sam Wilson books, the one-off, the fluff pieces,
Yeah.
where they really don't tie into anything. But when he's actually doing a through line, especially with the Steve Rogers stuff, I'm really liking his work more and more. Which brings me to this next book.
Okay.
I got this because I wanted to be a completionist, and this is Civil War II, The Oath, #1, and I think it's a one-shot.
Okay.
All right? But Nick Spencer wrote this. Now, Brian Michael Bendis wrote the other Civil War mainline story.
Yeah.
But Nick Spencer wrote this. Same guy that's doing both Cap books.
Okay.
Intriguing. But I just wanted to get this as a completionist, but really it ties in so well with what we just did.
Okay.
So I'm going to do this one, then you do your last one, and then
Okay.
we'll hit something lighthearted after that.
Alrighty.
So this opens up on the Shield helicarrier Iliad.
Okay.
Well, this is where they just had the trial and all that went down. And a helicopter's landing, and Steve Rogers. Now, this artwork is, a lot of it looks like oil painting. It's interesting. But it's a one-off, so, you're not going to see it in other books. There's not, I'm pretty sure it's a one-off, but a lot of it looks like oil painting, and it's really interesting. But Steve's getting off the helicopter, and there's a radio broadcast as the helicopter's landing. Hide the beer and close those Facebook accounts. Steve Rogers is on board. Yeah, the Boy Scout. And here's where I had to do this in a particular order. We find out here that Steve's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was like, oh, yeah, I read this one first. And I went, what the hell happened? So I wanted to do this in order. And they have prepared a visitor for him.
Okay.
Swept the room for bugs, and all personnel evacuated from around it, so he can go in and talk to this person and have no fear that he's being eavesdropped on, recorded, or anything else.
Cool.
He's now the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. He can do that on a helicarrier.
Yeah.
And he says, thank you. Now get the hell out. No, he doesn't say it that way, but that's essentially it. So he goes into the room, and he pulls up a chair, and there's a nice bit of artwork here where he's pulling the chair over, and it's got the sound effect, skirt. And you could just imagine, here, I'll show it to you real quick.
Well, yeah, it's the metal chair in like a, like an
Concrete
interrogation
floor,
room.
yeah.
Sound, yeah, I can hear it now, currently.
Steve pulls off his mask, and he sighs, and he looks, and it's a 2-page spread, and it's a pretty cool piece of art. There's a lot of great art in this. And he says, what a waste. And he's looking at Tony Stark, dead, half dead, somewhere in between, in the tube.
Okay.
Isn't that a great piece of art?
Yeah.
Sitting in the chair with his helmet in his hands, looking at Tony Stark. What a waste. And this is going to get a little bit shorter now, because it's a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of monologue, actually. It's Steve telling Tony, who's in a coma, possibly dead, may never come back. And he says, I know you. You're going to come back. You're going to find a way to fix yourself, because you always do. And, I really wanted, when this whole Civil War second one, finished up, that, we'd argue or talk or anything and communicate. And I'm going to miss you, because you'll fix yourself at some point in time. And by that time, it'll be too late. And you might as well be dead anyway. Because I'm sick of you superheroes thinking that you're better than everyone else, making decisions for everyone else. And he essentially throws out this communist or socialist manifesto.
Okay.
Captain America, the capitalist elitist pigs all must die, and I am the instrument of their. He sounds very Red Skull, and it then shows earlier that he's being sworn in by the president as the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And news reactions to this, and even Sam Wilson saying, he's the right man for a job. And we see a reaction of it from Hawkeye hiding out in the desert with I'm guessing it's the new Night Wolf. And, he's shooting targets, and I can't go back there for this, because people are there watching the swearing in ceremony. He says, I can't go back. I don't want to be around those people, and they all hate me because I killed Bruce Banner. We cut to a building top where we've got Miles Morales sitting up there, and the Wasp comes and joins him because they're both part of the Champions now. She says, why aren't you down there? He's going, Washington, D.C., vision of me killing Steve Rogers. He's the one being sworn in. I ain't going anywhere near it. Just because it wasn't right that time.
At that moment.
Yeah, he says, who knows? It could happen again. And so she says, yeah, no, you should go down there. Nope, I'm not going down there. And then Steve gives a mighty great speech after his swearing in where, we're all going to pull together. We're going to make this a better world for everyone. And there's going to be accountability. And it sounds, I'm not kidding. It sounds very much like a Trump speech. And I don't think that's by accident. I really don't. And then he acknowledges his friends there, including Sharon Carter. And then what we get is a party, an after party after the swearing in. And you get Sasquatch, who is part of Alpha Flight, Carol Danvers' team, and the new totally awesome Hulk fighting at this party because, because of you, Rhodes is dead. Because of you, Bruce Banner's dead. Because of you, Tony's dead. Because you're on Carol's side, and they're tearing the place up. And Ms. Marvel comes in and breaks it up, but she's a real bitch to the Hulk. And Steve says, I need to talk to you. We then flash to days earlier where Carol, who has been offered a defense job.
This is really interesting. The artwork on that one page with her in the White House is completely different than the rest of the book.
It is. It's vibrant colors.
Yeah.
And everything else is subdued and muted. Nice catch. But she essentially says, you offered me a job to defend the Earth. I took it, and this is how we're going to do it. She's telling the president this, and we're going to build this giant shield, this giant wall to keep immigrants out. I don't think Nick Spencer's a Trump supporter. Just saying. But so she's telling the president we're doing this, and she went behind Steve's back. So now we cut back to the two of them on the balcony, and Steve's pretty pissed off that she went behind his back to get approval, or at least tell the president how it was going to be, that they're going to build this giant shield. And she's defending herself. And we get a heartfelt conversation there. And, he kind of says, this is why you were fighting with Tony. Why are you going to be doing this again? You're making the same mistakes over and over again. And then we flash back to Steve talking to dead-ish Tony in the tube. We'll just call him Tony in the tube. And he says it's too late for her. Sorry. And then he starts talking about his plan and how everything's going to be shipshape and all the superheroes are going to die and everybody's going to be equals.
All right.
And
if everybody's going to be equals, then he has to kill all the bad guys too.
Yeah, and I did go look at this, by the way.
Yeah.
He also goes on to tell Tony, and they recount some of the other events they've had in the years where they shared a storyline. But it comes down to, he says, everybody saw Miles Morales kill me in that vision that Ulysses gave everyone. But everybody was so focused on the fact that I was dead, they didn't see what was going on in the background. And that's how I know I'm going to die, and it's probably going to happen that way. But I'll be successful, because what I noticed was, and then we see flashes of, add to the ranks, register today, hail Hydra, economy soars to new heights under Hydra leadership, the American flag with the Hydra symbol on it, and all this imagery, mutants in a concentration camp, and the Capitol building, where he was killed with a hole blown in it, flying the Hydra flag.
Yeah.
And that's what was in that vision. Everybody didn't see that in the background. They saw Steve Rogers being killed. And he saw himself die, but he saw that Hydra ruled everything. And he was okay with that.
And so if you go back into the issue of Civil War, you can see all that?
You can see, not in that much detail, but you can see these things. Wow. Like the Capitol building being busted up.
Yeah.
So it hasn't happened yet, and Miles was right. Dun, dun, dun. The last page is a black page that says Secret Empire, and it's got Captain America's shield on it. This is coming in 2017. So now we know what the spring Avengers event is going to be called. Secret Empire. And I bet you this is where we get both regular non-Hydra Steve and Tony Stark back.
Alrighty.
I'm excited. Now see why I had to do those in that order?
Yes, because that... Yeah.
All right.
Holy crap.
What?
It's just a lot to take in.
Yeah.
And I know there was not like any fighting whatsoever in the world of Civil War, but that actually helped a lot. Alrighty. So, Inhumans versus X-Men #3, main storyline. I do not like the artist of this. Just saying. But it's the main storyline, so I gotta read it.
All right.
Because it happens that way.
My last book is going to be real easy, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go into some detail-ish on this because it's the main storyline. All right, so we come in first right off the bat with ISO blasting the shit out of Logan.
All right.
Because that's where we left off was poof. They portaled in. There's this force thingy. Oh, look at Logan. Boom. ISO says, keep Logan busy. I'm going after that thing. And you see the device rolling away.
This is the device that's going to destroy the Terrigen Cloud?
Yeah, Forge is on top of it.
Just to make sure we're clear.
Driving it. And Inferno's like, who is this that I'm dealing with? And ISO's like, it's just like Sabretooth. You beat him, didn't you? It's fine. And he's like, I did beat him, but he survived. So we cut to ISO running towards Forge, and Logan just warning him and telling him that he's got, what her power is and stuff like that. And we go to Logan saying, so you beat Sabretooth, and he's walking towards Inferno, and he's like, that's right. How about you just stay back there before I do the same thing to you? And Logan's like, there's something you should know. I ain't Sabretooth. And jumping at him, full claws out.
All right. Now, by comparison, Sabretooth's a punk.
Yeah. So we cut to, and this is back and forth between these two a lot. We got ISO standing on top of the Terrigen Cloud Destroyer, and she just starts chatting up with Forge, who's in a suit. He's in a very special suit. It's like
Does it recycle his urine?
No, it's like a hazmat suit.
Ah, okay.
Because they're going to the Terrigen Cloud, and he's a mutant.
Oh, well, that's a good idea.
And we cut back to Logan has got Inferno on the ground, and he's like seconds away from killing him. And Inferno starts, he grabs onto Logan's arm and starts heating up his skeleton because it's metal. So he's conducting his heat directly to the skeleton. That's a pretty good move.
Yeah. It would certainly hurt. It would be distracting at the very least.
Yeah. So then we cut back to them talking, and it's interesting. ISO's talking to Forge like, so this does this, and she's like explaining his device to him, so he's very caught off guard because
a little intimidated.
Not intimidated, just like surprised, like, oh yeah, this does that, and she's like, does that do that? And yeah, that does that. And he's like, oh crap. And she just blasts the crap out of this one part that destroys the entire thing. Oh,
smooth move. That's like telling Doom where Ben Grimm is.
Yeah. And we cut back to Logan and Inferno takes Logan's claws and shoves it into his own shoulder. Into Inferno's shoulder.
Ouch.
And he's like, what in the world? You just want to die? What's going on? And from there, he just goes nuclear on Logan. Straight conductive from the claws to the rest of his skeleton.
And fries him into a crisp.
Yeah. So they ask each other, are you okay? Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. He's like, this guy's, like it's like Sabretooth, so he's gonna,
He'll be back.
he's gonna heal, right? And Iso's like, according to the files, yeah, that's probably why he's here, so he can survive the Terrigen cloud. Then we cut to Logan. Yeah, Logan still talking to Storm through a headpiece, telling her everything that's just happened, and basically we're screwed.
As he's slowly building himself back together.
Yeah. So at this point in time, we cut to Limbo.
Ooh.
We have all the Inhumans that were transported in this bubble thingy, so they're safe from all the monsters.
The Limbo critters.
Which doesn't make sense from the one Uncanny Inhumans issue tie-in.
Oh.
Or Uncanny X-Men tie-in.
Yeah, weren't they fighting them? And
Sabretooth was going in with
the vampiric chick.
Yeah. But anyway, we just get some basic talk, there's no way in, there's no way out, it's Limbo. If it was hell, we could just get out the gates.
Makes sense.
Medusa says, in the end, she's like,
Kratos did it.
Just one step at a time, and she points at something, and then we cut to Inferno and Iso escaping on a little plane thingy, and they have Forge with them.
Ooh.
And they're like...
Mission failed.
She's talking about how, Medusa said we have to take back New Adelan. That's our job. Once we're done with this, we go back and we take over Adelan. And Inferno's like, well, how are we going to do that? Every Inhuman probably took off as soon as they saw all this mass wall of mutants coming at them. And obviously it was a very good and orchestrated attack. The scene or the panel where you see Storm talking to Logan is from a balcony in New Adelan. Ah. They have control of the city, and there's no fighting going on. They're just hanging out on a balcony.
All right. Like the Clash say, complete control.
Yeah. So Iso says, well, I have someone in mind to get us an army, because she knows everyone. We cut to New Jersey with whoever this is. You told me who she was last time.
Rachel.
Is that Rachel?
Oh, no, Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel.
She's technically an Inhuman.
Yes, there it is, Ms. Marvel.
Not Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel.
Yes. And they're talking on the phone. Can you find friends? We need help. And she's like, okay. And she starts texting everybody. Who cares? And we cut to this panel. This is an actual cool. I like this page. And
it's a large critter.
Yeah, it's him.
Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess his head's bowed. I didn't see that.
Yep. Devil Dinosaur and a bunch of other Inhumans just hanging out on a bridge, and Ms. Marvel saying that ought to do it. And then we cut to Karnak and Jean.
Still
going at it. He says, it's like, what or Karnak goes, and she's like, what is it? And he's like, well, I saw a flaw in your iris, Miss Gray. And that means you're not real. So this is not real.
Oh, so he breaks out of the loop. He's a dangerous guy to have running around.
He doesn't break out yet. He's like, this is my tower. So he thought he was being held in his own tower the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so he's wandering around going like, well, how is this possible? How did you hold me prison in my own home? Wandering around, and he's like, okay, let's figure this out. And he starts punching a wall, and it gets blasted by this bright white light that almost blinds him. And then we see that he is... Oh God, I have no clue where he's at, but there's just random...
An 8-ball with Saturn's rings around it.
Yeah, and there's just random floating things. It's like what's his bucket painting?
Salvador Dali.
Yeah. It's just crazy, mixed in with Starry Night.
Yeah.
It's creepy. And this is the... apparently, this is the world. Karnak a self-contained ecosphere out of sync of our own time.
Ooh.
And Jean says this is where I was born. As part of the Weapon Plus program, this place will never let you go.
That's not good.
And then we come to the G.I. Joe looking dude saying, it was Admiral that Jean was holding you so long, but now it's my turn, and that's all. That's the end of that. So we cut to Mur Island, which is where everything started. Remember, Cyclops went there. The one dude was dead everywhere, and then Cyclops died. Yay!
Yeah.
And we have Beast imprisoned.
Yes. In a laser containment. Lasers.
It's kind of evil, too, because it's not like it's like big enough for him to lay down or anything.
Yeah, that's mean.
Yeah, it's messed up. And we have other Beast talking to Beast.
All right.
So we have Blue Beast in the prison, and we have all new X-Men Beast talking to Blue Beast in prison. And the other, and all new Beast is like, why did you have to do this? All we wanted, we could have used your help. All we needed was this, and you were just being selfish. And why did you choose them? And he says, I chose peace, not them. Get it straight, Emma. Emma Frost walks in, and Storm and Rogue. I don't know who that is. And Magneto floats in. I really don't know. No, that's Logan. Okay, he's just still regenerating from his blast.
All right.
He's just
okay. I was gonna say, looks a little like Absorbing Man, but okay.
And they're just talking about, they have one course of action, and this is what they're gonna have to do, and the only thing we can hope for is that they don't find Black Bolt.
Dun, dun, dun.
And you get a full page of Black Bolt in a cube-looking gel mixture.
Looks like it's ballistic gel or a Bacta tank.
Back to tank, and there's bubbles coming up, and he's got feeding tubes. He looks like he's in the Matrix.
Yeah.
And
copper top.
Yeah. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Well, my last issue is going to be rather quick. We might actually meet an hour 8 this time.
Oh.
This is the Avengers #1.mu for Monsters Unleashed. And this is why it's going to be real quick. There are 4 or 5 pages to start with.
Okay.
That are unique. And then the rest of the book is a retelling of all the stuff that happened in the Monsters Unleashed #1.
Okay.
And it's exact panels, exact dialogue. It's the same thing.
Okay.
So it's really like 4 or 5 pages of new stuff, and then the rest of it is, in fact, straight out of Monsters Unleashed #1, which we already covered.
Yes.
So this really does take the Monsters Unleashed #1. It showed different superheroes and superhero groups fighting large monsters that were falling out of the sky.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So this starts out essentially with Peter Parker happy that he's back in New York, and he's swinging around as Spider-Man, and just kind of being the Spider-Man thing, and he goes to meet someone who has a tip for him, a guy who wants to get paid to give him some information.
Okay.
He says, I don't really do the street level stuff anymore. I let the other Spider-Man do that. I do the Avengers, the big baddies, kind of moved up in the world, but hey, I needed something to do, so I'll go talk to this guy. And the guy says, okay. The Magia, which is the Marvel Universe's version of the Mafia.
Okay.
Which everybody has thought has been gone for a long time. Just no longer relevant. They're gaining strength and gaining forces, and they're having a big meeting in Boston.
Okay.
All right. And you guys should be worried. He's going, Boston? This is New York. Well, New York's a little hot. Too many superheroes here. So they're having this meeting in Boston. And Peter says, okay, I'll take it. Okay. When's this meeting? Where's it at? And he gets the info. And he takes off, and this guy, why didn't you just email me this information? I don't use computers. I don't have anything to do with technology. I don't do that stuff. It scares me. Peter says, okay, well, thanks for the tip, and starts taking off. The guy's going, hey, you didn't pay me. And he says, I'll PayPal it to you. What the hell is PayPal? So as he's swinging away, his assistant rings him on his special webware device,
Okay.
and says, "Don't forget, you got to catch a flight for an important meeting in Berlin." And he's, "Oh crap! I'm not going to have time to tie up this Magia thing in Boston and get there unless I bring in some friends." So he gets the Avengers, who really don't want to do this. They're going, "Really, the Magia? Really? Can't you send the other Spider-Man after him or something?" He's going, "Well, we can go to Boston. They have a lot of great beer." Right, Hercules? You want a drink? And he's going, "No, I'm on the wagon now that I'm an Avenger. I got to be good." And he's trying to convince him, and finally Sam Wilson says, "It's the right thing to do, and it has to be handled, so we're Avengers. We'll be there. Let's go." And they show up, and they bust into the meeting, and I'm trying to remember the name of the character. He started it in, I don't even have to open this. The Controller started back in the 60s in Iron Man. He was introduced in Iron Man. And essentially his thing is he is a crippled guy, old guy, but he gains power by throwing these little mind control discs on people, which means he can control them, and he gains their strength.
Yikes.
What they find is he's got all these Magia bosses in this meeting, and he's got controller discs on him. So he's a formidable fight for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fought Tony Stark as Iron Man to a standstill on several occasions.
Okay.
And he tells him, kill him, and he manages to get a disc on Wasp, and he manages to get a disc on Sam Wilson, and says, kill the Avengers. All hell breaks loose. There's a big fight. Thor and Hercules manage to take him down, and they rip the disc off of Sam Wilson and the Wasp, and everything's all fine and great. I just might make my flight, and then they hear a crash outside, big boom, and like an earthquake, and they go, look out the door, and Peter calls his assistant and says, cancel my flight. In fact, cancel everything. And it's where the comet hit, and there's the big critter. Now you know why the Avengers were there, and immediately start fighting that big critter. From there, through the rest of the book, is exactly out of Monsters Unleashed #1, where they take out that critter, and then others start falling from the sky.
All righty.
See, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
We're at 107.
All right.
All right, well, if you need to reach me, my email address is matt@bagofmadbastards.com.
And I'm Josh at bagofmadbastards.com.
So we can get the theme song in there. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.